Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Salim Yunus. I love to read the Quran and I want to be a Hafiz just like my two sisters. Today I'll be reciting Surah Al-Bayyinah, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة. رسول من الله يتلو صحفا مطهرة فيها كتب قيمة وما تفرق الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينة وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عن ذلك لمن خشي ربه صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, our daughter Anisa has finished the memorization of the Quran. Sister Hanan, we are truly blessed to have you as her teacher. May Allah reward you for your efforts and dedication.
My name is Anisa. I just want to say a big thank you to Sister Hanan. Without your help, I wouldn't have finished memorizing the Quran. Thank you, Sister Amani, Sister Amal, and Sister Marvat for taking my just test and always encouraging me. I also want to thank my friends. You were my support and motivation.
And that's Darul Huda. MashaAllah, the dedication of the teachers is very inspiring. They go above and beyond. The teachers work very hard to create a positive atmosphere in which all the girls support one another. Their planning, guidance, and organization is extraordinary. The journey of Hifz is a difficult one, but the partnership that Darul Huda Tafiz teachers have developed with the parents makes it easy not just for us as parents, but the students.
I also want to thank all of Darul Huda Tahfiz teachers for making us so proud of our children. We hope to stay together as a family in Jannah.
I am Musab, and I am also a student of Darul Huda Tahfiz. Thank you, Qari Shahid, for helping me memorize the Quran. Inshallah, I hope to be a Hafiz very soon. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان.
The month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was revealed, a guidance for the people with clear proofs and guidance and criteria. The month of Ramadan is upon us. It is the month of Quran. If you would like to send a message like this to the community or place an ad for your business, please contact MTMT. The contact information is in the description of this video. Allow us to fill our homes with the recitation of the Quran and for us to follow its guidance. Please keep our family in your du'as.
Ramadan Mubarak!
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to Ramadan Stars. Today, our topic is the promised ones. Now, this topic is actually about the troubles that begin in Makkah, but I chose to change it to the promised ones, and you will see why. Before we go into the story, I wanted to give you a little background about the Quraysh in Makkah at the time. So we all know that their primary source of income, or the way that they make their money, is through trading with other tribes. But they were also the caretakers of the Kaaba, and they housed a lot of idols all around the Kaaba, and they weren't just their own idols, but the idols of other tribes. So they protected them for them. And there was more than 300 idols that they were in charge of protecting. And every year, tribes would come for Hajj, not to the Kaaba to worship Allah, but to worship these idols. And in turn, they would trade with the Quraysh. And the Quraysh, as Sister Sadaf mentioned yesterday, they are very proud of this tradition. They're very proud of their wealth. They're very proud that they are the caretakers and they are the protectors of the Kaaba. So this gave them power over the whole Arabian Peninsula. The Quraysh were the chief tribe. And during this time, the Prophet was inviting through a secret call until he was commanded by Allah to make his call public. So he was on top of Mount Safa, and you can see in the picture here that Mount Safa was actually bigger than what it is here now. This is what it looks like now if you visit the Kaaba, if you go for Hajj or Umrah. But at the time of the Prophet, it was much taller. So imagine him on top of this hill, and he is making the loud call to the people of Makkah. And his voice was echoing through Makkah. And he calls out loud, and he said that if I tell you that there is danger, would you believe me? And they said, yes, we would believe you. You never lie, you are honest, and you are al-amin. And again, he asked them, if I tell you that there is danger, would you believe me? And would you trust me? And they said, yes, we would totally trust you because you never lie. You are the most honest, the most trustworthy. We wouldn't, hesitate, and we would believe you. So he tells them that there is one Allah, right? There's all these idols that you are worshiping. They are not your gods. There's only one God, and it's Allah, and I am his messenger. So, and if you do not follow, you continue with your idol worship, you continue with your practices, you will be in great danger. You will face the punishment, a severe punishment by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at that moment, Allah ordered the Prophet to pray. And the Prophet turned towards the Kaaba and he prayed right before their eyes. So he is disproving their practices and he is disapproving their worshiping of the idols. So what do you think is going to be their reaction? What do you think the Quraysh, before you remember, the Prophet was inviting people secretly because of the Quraysh. Now he is saying it out in the public. What do you think their reaction to the Prophet will be? Now you can go on YouTube and you can comment and post what you think is the answer, and I will be checking that. And I also have a audience here on set with me, so they will also be joining in with this question. What do you think will be the reaction of the Quraysh to this loud call the Prophet just gave? Now his call is public. Okay, so Anisa says that they will be mad. Musab? So Musab said that they will be upset and will take matters into their hands. And I have Sana on here on YouTube. She said that they will say, no way, right? So they're not going to follow the Prophet's call. So let's see what was their reaction. So the people of Makkah, like we said, they were worshiping the idols, and the Prophet's message is going against this. They would have to give up all 300 idols just for one God. So there was two reactions. One reaction was there was increase in acceptance of this message. So many people said this is the true message, and they accepted it. But the Quraysh, their reaction was just like Sana mentioned, and Anisa and Musab, and I also see Adila and Afif. All of you said that they would say, no way, cannot be. They were upset and they wanted to put an end to this. Now, you know that the Prophet is from a noble family. He is from the Banu Hashim family, and Abu Talib, his uncle, he has protection over him. So the Quraysh can't really harm him physically. So now they're deciding what should they do, how should they handle this matter. So they formed a council, and this council was with the Quraysh leaders, but they didn't invite Abu Talib to this. And they went to Walid bin al-Mughira, and they said to him that we need to come up with the plan, we need to come up with a decision. How do we put an end to this? And also because the Hajj season was coming very soon, so they were afraid they were not going to make any money if people just start turning towards the Prophet. They saw it right in front of their eyes. So many people accepted his call. So they were getting worried that if these people come for Hajj, they might not, trade with us because we have all the idols. They might accept his message. So they were getting really worried. Now, together with Walid, they decided there has to be something they say because they cannot physically harm the Prophet. So what could they say about the Prophet to turn people away from him? So first, Walid suggested, let's say that he is a kahin. Now, a kahin is someone who tells the future, but this information that they are getting is from jinn. So they're saying that this message is not from Allah. It's from jinns, right? But they said, we can't say that about the Prophet because we have never seen him tell lies. We have never seen him be dishonest. So his speech cannot be from the jinns, right? No one is going to believe that. So then he says, how about we say he is Majnoon, that he is under Shaitan's spell and he is, gone mad. Again, they say we cannot say this about the Prophet. If you look at him, he is in his perfect state of mind. There is nothing wrong with him. He doesn't look like a mad person. So we cannot say this about him either. So then he suggested, how about we say he is a poet? He is just being eloquent, right? But again, they said we cannot say that about the Prophet because the Prophet wasn't very educated. So he wouldn't have this ability of coming up with such a elaborate speech, right? So then the last thing that he suggested was, let's say he is doing magic. Now, this magic is not the type of tricks that you see or you play with your friends. It's not like a card trick. It's not pulling a rabbit out of a hat. This magic is a bad form of magic that actually harms people. So they were saying that he is spreading this information to harm. He is kind of spreading false information, right? And they actually want to basically tell the public, right, that this is false information, don't follow him. So they are suggesting, let's say that he is doing magic. And again, they say we have never seen him do anything like that. We have never seen him harm a soul. We have never seen him, hurt anyone. So we don't really think people will believe that either. And did you know that Allah has revealed 16 verses in the Quran in regards to Walid and his plan that he is coming up with to manipulate people's mind against the Prophet? So what decision do you think they're going to take? So I gave you 4 choices: Kahin, Majnoon, poet, or magic. So remember the bad magic. So what decision do you think they're going to take? And this is a decision they all are going to take. And do you think they were successful? So once again, you can comment on in the YouTube, and I have my audience here to comment as well. So are they going to go with Kahin, Majnoon, poet, or magic? Okay, so Musab said they're going to go with magic and it didn't work. Anisa says Majnoon. And do you think it's successful? No. Okay. And I have Sana, Yusuf, and Zoha. They also said magic. So magic is the correct answer. So they all agree with magic, that we're going to say that he is using this bad form of magic to harm others with this false information. And like you all said, they were not successful with this. So they're not successful in spreading these things about the prophet. And then they even try all the others. First, they tried magic. It didn't work. So then they were like, okay, let's just say he's a liar. Let's just say he is a kahin. Let's just say he is a majnoon. But none of this worked, because when the people were coming and they would look at the prophet, they would see something totally opposite of what they are trying to say. Okay? So now this becomes a different type of struggle. So first they tried verbally to stop. It didn't work. So now they're going to use their power. So you see Quraysh, they are the chief tribe. They have all the wealth, so they are powerful. But the early converts, most of them were poor and they were slaves. So they were very weak. So they can't harm the prophet physically because of Abu Talib. They tried it verbally, it didn't work. So now, what do you think they will do? Based on what I'm just telling you now, what do you think is the step that they're going to take? So, audience. Okay, so Anisa says they will be physical now. Musab? Okay, so Musab is saying they will be very physical with them so that they actually turn away from the prophet. Okay? So let's see what they actually do. So this is when the troubles actually begin in Makkah. The Quraysh decide that they have to be physical. They have to persecute the Muslims in order to put an end to the prophet. So what is persecution? It is the use of violence and torture against someone because of what they believe. So remember, this is a power struggle, right? The powerful Quraysh versus the weak early converts. So it's easier for the Quraysh to persecute these weak people, right? And they're hoping that with this, it will put an end to what the prophet is trying to do. So this brings us to why I titled this topic, The Promised Ones. You will see these people, what they went through, and why they are the promised ones. They are promised paradise for what they have gone through. Now, the first person that we will talk about is Bilal ibn Rabah. He was a slave of Umayyah bin Khalaf, and when he heard the prophet's message, he, followed it. He accepted it right away. And when his master found out, when Umayyah found out, he severely beat him. But even then, Bilal did not, turn away. Then he deprived him from food and drink. So he wasn't giving him anything to eat or drink. And, Makkah is really hot. But Bilal still didn't turn away. He would lay him down on the hot ground. So, Makkah is a desert. The ground will be hot. You can't even walk on it in the daytime sometimes. So he would lay him without his shirt on the ground so that his body is burned. That didn't work. He had his other servants put a rope around his neck and drag him. That didn't work either. So now Umayyah is trying to think of what can I do? What can I do to make this stop? So on the hottest part of the day, he has Bilal on the ground. He's tied up. He cannot get up. He gets a giant stone and he puts it on his chest, and he keeps pressing on it just as to crush him. And Bilal keeps saying, he is the one. He is the one. Allah is the one. And he keeps pushing the stone, and Abu Bakr, the Prophet's best friend, happens to be passing by, and he hears, he is the one, and he repeatedly hears this, like someone is in a lot of pain and saying this. So he sees what Umayyah is doing to Bilal, and right away he says, I will give you money to purchase him, to free him. So Bilal was saved by Abu Bakr. He was freed. So Abu Bakr didn't give the money to take him as a slave for himself. He freed him, and Bilal was now a normal, regular guy, just like everybody else. And he could, practice Islam just like all the others. And no one can stand up to Abu Bakr. As we mentioned that in previous story, that Abu Bakr, the best friend of the Prophet, he was a very well-known, knowledgeable, and wise man known by the Quraysh. So they will not stand up to him either. So if he is offering this money, they will take it. They want money anyway, right? So they will take this money happily. And now Bilal is freed. So he is the first one who is the promised one. Now, the second person we're going to talk about is not just him, but also his family, his parents. Ammar bin Yasir and his family, they used to be slaves, but they were freed, and they were part of Bani Makhzum. And they embraced Islam because Islam talked about practices that, their family had been following for a long time, and they didn't agree with them. For instance, the Quraysh used to bury their daughters alive. And Sumayya, the mother of Ammar, her father used to do this. She had two older sisters who were buried alive. And when she was born, her father ran out of the house crying that I cannot do it again. I cannot bury another one of my child just because it's a girl. And so when they heard the Prophet's message and the Prophet's call, they accepted it, they embraced Islam, and for doing that, they used to be hurt. They would throw embers, hot burning coal on them. His family was also made to lie on the burning sand. And with this repeated tortures, his father Yasser passed away. And Abu Jahl killed his mother Sumayya. He used a bayonet, which is a spear-like weapon, and he just killed her. And Ammar himself was tortured and threatened many times with severe suffering. And at one point, he actually said that, okay, I accept what you're saying. And then afterwards, he went back to the Prophet and he said, I said this when I was being tortured, but I didn't mean it. I really believe in your message, and I really want believe in you and as the messenger, and I believe in Allah. But I was being so tortured, and they were threatening me, and I was in so much pain that I ended up saying that, but I didn't mean it. And the Prophet there was an ayah that was revealed, and it was told that Allah knows what is in your heart, right? So he was told to, that it's okay, that we know that you are a true Muslim. And his mom is actually, Sumayya is actually the first woman martyr of these early converts. So you see how much suffering they're going through just because they have accepted the Prophet's message, right? And that's why they are the promised ones. Now, another Sahaba that we're going to talk about, this is Habab ibn al-Arat. He was from Banu Tamim, so he was also from a very noble tribe. But his tribe was actually captured, and he ended up being sold as a slave when he was young. And his owner was Anmar, and she saw that this boy is very talented, he has a lot of skills, and she could actually profit from him. And so she placed him as an apprentice to a blacksmith who made swords. So he worked as an assistant to this blacksmith, and they would make these swords, and then Anmar would sell it, and she would get all the profit. And when she found out that Khabab has accepted the message of the Prophet, And she actually first confronted him. And he said that, yes, I believe in him, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me. So when he spoke out like that, it made her very upset that I am your master and I am your owner. How dare you talk up to me, right? So she sends her brother, Siba, and she tells him that you need to get men, get a gang, and go beat him because he talked back to me. He is disobeying me. So her brother actually did that. Her brother got a bunch of men and they beat him with iron bars. And she herself would go to the shop and take the burning iron and hit him on the head with it. But still, he was not, changing his mind. When the Quraysh leaders found out that Khabab spoke out against his master, that he is still continuing to believe and he is persistent on it, they said, we need to do something about this. We need to make an example out of him. So they would regularly take him to the middle of the city in an open area when the sun is scorching so everyone can see, and they would beat him. They would beat him with iron bars, whatever that they had. They wanted to make an example out of him that if you are going to disobey your masters, if you are going to go against our beliefs and traditions, this is what we will do to you. But even with all this torture, Khabab would secretly go to Fatima bin Khattab's house. He used to spend his time learning and reciting the Quran. And we mentioned Fatima bin Khattab. She is the sister of Umar bin Khattab. So with her and her husband and Khabab, they would recite the Quran in secret. And Khabab actually continued to support the Prophet for the rest of his life. And the last person we're going to talk about is actually one of my favorite, and that is Musab bin Umair. It's also the name of my son. Now, Musab bin Umair is different from the other three that we mentioned. The other three that we mentioned, they were poor, they were weak, or they were slaves. Musab was the opposite. He was not poor. He was from a very wealthy and notable family in the Quraysh. And he wasn't tortured by the Quraysh like the others were tortured by their leaders. He was tortured by his own mother, Hanas bint Malik. So when Musab, he was young when he found out that there's this man, Muhammad, and he is telling this message. He wanted to go find out for himself who this is and what is he actually saying. So he secretly went to the house of Arqam, and he actually was in the presence of the Prophet, and the Prophet was giving this message, and he recited the Quran. And right away, Musab had this beaming in his eyes. His body was shaking with excitement, and the Prophet saw this in him. So the Prophet placed his hand on his chest, and that calmed him down, and it gave him this peacefulness, right? So right away, he accepted the Prophet. But there was only one thing he feared. He didn't fear the Quraysh. He didn't fear the Quraysh leaders coming after him. He didn't fear that, he's getting rid of all these idol worship and all these practices and traditions. He feared his mother. His mother has this fear and terror-inducing kind of personality. And she is a very, strong in personality. So he was very afraid that, what is she going to think, right? So he kept this a secret. And he would often visit the house of Arqam. He would often be in the presence of the Prophet, but he wouldn't tell his mother where he was. He wouldn't tell his mother that he is a Muslim, right? She found out by a man named Usman bin Talha. He actually saw Musab going to the house of Arqam, and then a few days later, he saw him praying with the Prophet. And he went and he told his mother, and he told some of the other Quraysh leaders. So now when he comes back home, he sees his mom with all these Quraysh leaders, all kind of huddling him, right, and questioning him that, what are you doing? Where have you been? What is it that we are hearing? And he at first was very afraid, but then he gained his confidence and he said that, yes, I am a Muslim and I accept the message of the Prophet, and there's only one Allah. So the Quraysh leaders, they're very upset, and his mother, who is furious, right? She wanted to really like punch him, right? Really like blow him and like give him this like beating, right? And as soon as she brought her hand up to his face, her hand staggered and it started to shake, and she couldn't go through with it because she saw this light coming from his face, and his face is so peaceful, so serene. When she sees this, she just drops her hand. But even then, she's thinking of something. What can I do to stop him, right? How can I make my son, who I love, who I have given everything, how can I make him change his mind? So she decides to chain him in a far corner of the house. So now he is being kept as a prisoner in his own house. And she even puts guards to watch over him to make sure that he doesn't escape, because she doesn't want him leaving the house and going to the Prophet or listening to any of these messages. She wants to keep him away from all of that. After some time, Musab does end up escaping from there, and he follows the other Muslims who escaped Makkah because of all these tortures that were happening. And once he finds out that Makkah is now peaceful, he actually comes back, and he comes back to his mother once more, trying to make her accept Islam. But again, she is persistent with her kufr, and he is persistent with his strong faith. And she eventually ends up throwing him out of the house. She said, "You are not welcome here. I have no relation to you. I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to support you in any way." She cuts off all ties with him. So Musab is left poor, homeless, without a family. And he gave up this luxurious life, his family, all for the sake of Allah. And he was determined that he was going to use whatever talents and skills he has to gain knowledge and serve Allah and his messenger. And later on, we see that Musab, he had a beautiful recitation of the Quran, and he used this skill to invite others. He would just recite the Quran, and others would accept Islam. He has such an amazing voice that it would tremble in their hearts, it would make their hearts shake, and they would accept the message of Islam. So another promised Sahaba. And there were many more who were tortured and who were suffering just because they had accepted the call of the Prophet. Abu Jahl, he used to torture the weak converts. But the powerful converts, he would degrade them publicly. He would put them down publicly. Like, look at this man. He just accepted, the Prophet, right? And Umar bin al-Khattab, before he accepted Islam, he used to torture many converts. Abu Lahab and his wife, Abu Lahab was the uncle of the Prophet. He would also, along with his wife, torture new converts. Uthman bin Affan, who was already a Muslim at that time, was tortured by his uncle. He would wrap him in palm leaves and set it on fire, and try just by burning him that maybe that he will stop following the Prophet. Abu Fakhi was also a slave, and he was tortured similarly to the way Bilal was, and Abu Bakr freed him as well. And there were many others, many women, An-Nahdiya, her daughter Bais, and Zanira, and countless others. And Muslims are still being persecuted. So what I want you to do, and this is for not just for today, but any time that you are praying, anytime you are, making a dua, make a special dua for the Muslims around the world who are being persecuted and facing hardships. There's Muslims in China, in Burma, in India, in Kashmir, in Palestine, Syria, Yemen, all over the world. There are Muslims who are facing hardships. Make a special dua for them. And if you can, with your family, donate to help give them relief. Now, what are some lessons that we can take away from these promised ones and we can apply to our own selves so we can be the promised ones too? So remember the Quraysh with their power and pride, right? This power and pride of the dunya is not going to help you in the akhirah, because who is the most powerful? It's Allah, right? And who is our protector? Allah. We cannot be the protector of idols. We cannot be protector of our gods, right? It's only what He is the most powerful. He is our protector, and it's Allah. And if we follow Him, then only can we have a good akhirah. Another lesson is spending in the way of Allah, right? Abu Bakr freed slaves. He didn't do it for his own gain. He didn't do it to get any profit out of it. He did it for the sake of Allah, right? And when we spend in the way of Allah, Allah promises to give you more, right? So that's a promise. Allah says that I will give you more. And always seek prayer and recite the Quran, as did Khabbab. But even with all the torture, he was out in the middle of the city being tortured with iron bars, being beaten. But what did he do? He would seek prayer and recite the Quran, right? So this is what we need to do in our times of difficulty, in our times of hardship. Also, to be patient and trust Allah. He is the merciful. And if you are patient in your difficult times, you trust Allah, He will get you through it. And use your talents and skills in the way of Allah, as did Musab, right? He was great at reciting the Quran, and he used this to invite others. Keep your iman strong. All of these promised ones have showed us that your iman needs to be firm. Even if it's your mother, right? Even if it's your master, you need to keep your iman strong and have this firm belief in Allah. No one should be able to change it. And be grateful. We all have so much to be grateful for. Alhamdulillah, we are not the ones being persecuted. We're not in a country where there are Muslims being persecuted. We are safe in our homes with our family, and we have all the food and everything that we need, right? So be grateful. And as my elders have said, sabr and shukr. So if you are patient and you are grateful, you are thankful to Allah, that will get you through anything. And Allah again has promised, with hardship, there is ease. So see how many things Allah has promised us, how merciful He is, right? He will get us out of this problem. He will help us out of any difficulty we have. He has promised us such great rewards, right? So if we apply these, inshallah, we will be the promised ones. So that's all for today's topic. Please visit mcmcnj.org/Ramadan stars and fill out the quiz for today's topic. And also, with the help of your parents, you can submit a video of an azan recitation or Quran recitation that you would like for us to play. And you can also visit the website to see what other programs MCMC is offering and see how you can be involved. And please donate generously. It is the month of Ramadan. Donate generously with your family to the masjid and to other causes. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala al falah. Hayya ala al falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.